a lot of people have been seeing the Windows wave start to take off. And you might have seen a guy holding the coffee cup selling door to door. His name's Nick Gaines. And I actually took Nick Gaines' program. So I'm going to talk about my experience and just kind of share how I felt about it. So one of the very first things that I noticed about Nick's process that like drew me to even reaching out to him was he's very down to earth. A lot of guys in the door-to-door space, it's like the whole frat vibe, but like I didn't get that from him. And so I ended up reaching out to him in December. And at the time I was Ubering, just barely making any money. And, obviously like with his program, he has a cost, which is very reasonable given like the results that it does get. And I'll get into that in a sec, but, long story short, like I needed to get my finances figured out, and he had like structured a way for me to get involved without having to pay the full amount up front. So I needed to make $500, and anyone who's done Uber, if you're Ubering at like the best times throughout the week, like you're still only making a few $100, and assuming you have to eat and like pay for other stuff, you're really not making much money. So December was like the first time that I was like, you know what? He's put out plenty of free content. Like, let me try out what he has here. And I ended up knocking doors, and like I set up a couple of my neighbors, cleaned their windows, and I was like, holy shit, like this works. So I remember that $500 was like one of the hardest 500 I'd made, just like through the hard work, because I did windows and I did a pressure washing job. And that pressure washing job, it tried to relay a really important message I wish I had heeded. So maybe you guys can, but I noticed as I was, doing pressure washing, it's like, the further away you are, like the more spread out your jet is, the less work that it's actually doing, the longer it takes to see anything meaningful happen. And so I remember thinking, what if I did like a full home service thing instead of just windows? But after realizing that, I was like, just windows is the move. And even more than just windows, like if you're in a season where you need an opportunity and you need to go hard to get yourself ahead, like why try to juggle multiple things? Why not put your all effort into that one thing? And so I'll get back to where that goes in a second, but long story short, I ended up making the $500 and I get into the program. Now at this point, anybody who's seen my YouTube channel knows I'm very interested in Web3. I really like the tech. I have a lot of ideas. I just, obviously like capital and connections are kind of like the weak point. And that was my whole goal for the year. Like at the start, I thought, I'm going to get into the Web3 space, but obviously again, like tight finances, like, am I going to just Uber until something happens, or am I going to like take initiative? And it was a really hard decision to make. And, I ended up even like asking Nick for a refund, which he gave no questions asked. He didn't have to. He didn't even have to do like the whole breakdown of the pricing to allow me inside like early. But he did it anyways. Like super real, was helping me even on the Instagram DMs. And I remember even afterwards, after I, dropped out, like I let him know, like I felt like shit about it, and I was gonna go out and knock, and like he was still giving me advice and like, kind of letting me know about like why certain things were happening on the doors. And long story short, like I ended up being like, yo, like I need to make a change in my life, like otherwise I'm gonna like regret it. And he lets me back into the course. Same deal, nothing changed. And he lets me back in. And when I'm in the course, like for one cool thing about the way the program was set up is Nick lets you send voice memos directly to him like throughout the day. So like once I was actually in, I had already gone out and like knocked and like gained a little bit of confidence. I was then able to just talk and like relay information throughout the day of just like what I was running into, what was going on. And like I was able to make $1,000 my very first 3 days, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, it's not like it is kind of crazy, right? Like, think about that. Like, think you start a business, like you decide you're gonna take it serious, and then boom, first 3 days, $1,000. Like, has it been done? Yeah, but like, do most people do it? Hell fucking no. And the only reason I was able to do that, I think, had to do with the fact that, like, one, I had the confidence of having somebody in my corner, and two, like, I just overall had really good fucking coaching. Like, Nick is a killer when it comes to the doors. And the reason is, like, it's an energy thing, right? Like, it is literally about, like, coming with pure intentions, and, like, you know, it's just the way that you carry yourself at the door. It's not like you're there to just finesse and dip. You know, you're there to build a relationship. So it was really cool kind of getting to see his sales process, and just getting like insight as to, like, okay, I said something like this way, my energy was this way, and he was able to fine tune, like, basically listening to my recordings of me talking to homeowners to figure out where I was struggling. And so the very first month, February, it was a hard month. Like, I worked a lot, but I could have done better. I was smoking weed pretty consistently, and not that that's like a bad thing, but like, if you're allowing that to affect like getting up on time or just like going out in general, then like that's where it's like, you know, you have to have shit on lock. So like, long story short, still regardless, I ended up doing about 7K that month in revenue. Now, that 7K, I didn't have good equipment at the time. I literally had a sponge and a squeegee from Home Depot, and I was able to squeeze that out. And the cool thing is like, that very first month, I was able to upgrade to a water-fed pole. I pretty much bought like $1,200-$1,300 worth of equipment altogether, and I was able to also pay off the course, or not pay off the course, but I was able to pay my monthly due, which is about $1,250. And on top of that, I was able to pay a worker who had helped me initially with the scrubber and squeegee, eventually with the water-fed pole. So, you know, I was paying about $170 per day for the worker or workers, because I had several, and I don't remember the exact number, but like, I probably spent over $2K on workers. And then obviously like the equipment with Nick, maybe a little bit less on workers. But what I'm trying to say is, I made money to, like, one, eat well. I actually gained weight that month, which was like a huge win for me. I'd lost a lot of weight from being fucking broke. And secondly, I was able to upgrade equipment to start cleaning faster. Third, I was able to actually like pay my monthly in the program, which was like a huge confidence booster. So like, all three were there. The problem with February was, like, I got distracted. I took a trip to Miami, and I remember being around all these guys on like a yacht, and, you know, some of them are like, oh yeah, I'm doing 300K a month, e-commerce, yada, yada. And I got kind of just like in this like place of comparison almost, thinking, you know, I have to like compete with these guys, or like my business isn't shit because it's like, you know, in person, like dirty business, blue collar work. But like, in reality, I didn't even realize this till later. Like, those guys weren't even making the money that they were talking about making. So hindsight is what it is, but realistically, I shouldn't have been comparing myself. But at that point in February, I started thinking, oh, like, I need to get back on the Web3 wave. I need to start doing my online stuff. And it starts like planting like this seed of wanting to do something else in my mind, even though I'm already starting to build momentum in the windows business. So come March, I end up starting to knock into different territory, beautiful territory. The people were definitely interesting, but like, great people in the neighborhood I was in. You know, it's just a thing of building trust. And the thing is like, obviously like, energy is a huge thing in business. And so while I have this other seed that's like kind of festering in my mind, you know, I'm kind of struggling to deal with my workers. Like, they're not cleaning as fast. I didn't teach them a good process, and like, I wasn't very organized myself. So long story short, like, I end up having one of my starting worker, the first guy I had out, ends up like kind of ghosting me. So Pretty much what happens is like I start getting frustrated because I have at this point like a ton of jobs. Like I remember having, I think like 5 or 6 jobs lined that day. This guy cancels and all of a sudden like I'm having to clean all these by myself. And, you know, later in the week, like I have one of the other guys that I'd had coming out. He pulls up, but again, like my process wasn't dialed. We were cleaning really slow. And I just felt behind again. It's like this like thing of comparison, which is so stupid. But long story short, like on the next call we do, we end up kind of talking about it a little bit. And like the next day, you know, we talk and like Nick kind of, you know, he doesn't think like it makes sense for me to be in the program if like I'm not bought in and like I don't want to build the business. Otherwise, it's like if you hate building the business, like why be in it? So, you know, he feels like it's best for me to like try my own thing. And so that's what I end up kind of contemplating on for a little bit. But, you know, I was like, I had initially committed to the 8 weeks. So regardless, I told myself, hey, you know, I like, even if I don't have to pay the rest of the program and, you know, I'm not going to do this long term, like let me at least apply what I've learned and give it my all. And basically what happens is like the very next week, I have another guy who ran a window cleaning business come and kind of visit to see my process. Cause like at this point I was doing really good at sales. It was just the fulfillment, you know, the cleaning part I was struggling with. I ended up doing like 5 sales that day with him on the doors in like 2 or 3 hours. We got it on recording too, which was cool. I got to get the recording from the edit guy. But long story short, we end up pulling in some pretty good money, and afterwards, they end up going back because he had left his equipment and I only had my rig. And at this point, like, you know, I'm thinking, like, why even do the rest of the 8 weeks? Like, this is fucking pointless. But I kid you not, that Saturday, I'm like finishing what I think is going to be my last house, and I'm cleaning screens in the front yard. And Nick's process worked so well. Like I had people like talking about me on the Facebook page. And so I literally had like 5 people walk up to me, either pulling up in their car or like walking up as they're doing their Saturday walk, and asked me to like clean their windows. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on here? And so, you know, at this point, like at the start of the month while all this is happening, like I had a little bit under 2K, which is again, still way better than what I'd started. But after all these referrals start rolling in, I literally have referral after referral after referral. Booked, full week, 3 cleans a day, and I end up doing like 10K that week. Or I mean 10K that month. 9.5, let's be like precise. But 9.5K that month, very minimal knocking. I kind of rode the momentum from the referrals, but like whenever I did knock, like anywhere next door, anywhere nearby, like laydowns. And so long story short, in total from starting the program to the end of the 8 weeks that like I didn't even technically finish working with Nick because I wanted to do this other thing, I ended up doing like 17K in rev. And mind you, like profit margins were pretty good. Obviously some of it got reinvested into equipment and the program itself, but like I had 10K saved by like the first or second week of April. So what I'm trying to say is for anybody who is hesitant on like whether or not it makes sense to, you know, like, is this legit? Does it work? Yes, it does work. And yes, it does make sense, especially if you're in a rough spot. Like realistically, if I could go back in time, I would have just forgotten about all this stuff going on in Miami, Fugazi, and I would have really like appreciated the program more, because the other part about the program, not just the ability to connect with Nick one-on-one and like ask direct questions, is the group is filled with other people who are in either a similar category or stance. Like, I mean, there wasn't much lower than where I'd started, but similar circumstances or like better circumstances that you could actually learn from. I met really cool people in the group, like one of them being Daniel, a guy from Australia. That dude made like 40 something thousand fucking dollars. Like, I think it was in like May or, it was like a few months later and stuff, but like he had started around the same time that I did and made that in a month. So it's real. The thing is like AI is going to take over most jobs, but blue collar services will be one of the few that stay. And so there's a really great opportunity for you guys. If you find this, if you're looking for an opportunity, hit up Nick. Like, I'm not saying like go buy the course, but like if you're in a position where like you want to make some fucking money and you want to get better as a person, like there's not many places better to do it. Like that is one of the other really cool parts. The personal growth that you experience as a result of becoming a business owner is invaluable. And the confidence that builds, it allows you to build a foundation that you can use for so many other things later in life. So a lot of really great things from the program. Even though I didn't finish it, like I would recommend it 10 times over to anybody considering it. Anybody who hasn't even heard of it and is looking for an opportunity. And I don't make any money from this, but again, like I just want to see other people win. If I can do, even just helping one or two people find something that changes their life, like that's fucking worth making this video for. So yeah, long story short, like Nick is a stand-up dude, very integral, great coach, like incredible sales skills, just very good with people in general. Biggest thing is like, if you join that program, like appreciate everything that it comes with, because there's just so much value and so many great people in there. So that's my take on Nick Gaines Home Service Academy. Check it out. Check out his page. It should just be Nick Gaines or Nick P. Gaines or something like that. But really take a look at it, and it might just change your life.